Hello YouTube, this is Mr. Waste of Time 99. I'm here with a deck profile today. I just finished my Magic the Gathering deck. This is actually my Magic deck that I built. This is the deck that I'm using to teach my girlfriend how to play. But I'm actually going to be using this in a tournament today for the pre-release for Avacyn Restored. It is a red-green werewolf deck. My deck is not finished yet. I need about 9 cards left in my deck to finish it. But I am going to do a deck profile on this deck because it's just amazing the way I've played it. The only thing that I don't have for this deck is the dual lands, but I'm hoping to get those soon. So yeah, let's get started. One of the main staples of this deck is Reckless Waif. I got 2 of them. Oh, I have 4 of them, but what I'm going to do is basically I have their flow effects on the other 2 cards. So 2 Reckless Waves. This is just basically the haste card. Basically your opponent's going to be scrambling to get something out first turn, or else they'll be staring at the Merciless Predator, who is a 3/2. And you don't want a 3 swinging at you on the first turn. The main staple of this deck, definitely, is Mayor of Avbrook. 1/1 gives +1/+1 to all creatures, all human creatures, but transformed Howlpack Alpha gives +1/+1 to all werewolves, and gives you a +2/2 wolf token every end phase that this guy is transformed. And that wolf will get the bonus from Howlpack Alpha. I don't have this guy in a case because I only have 1 of them, but just because he's a quick drop Gustav Shepherd. He's good because he's a 2/2 2-drop. But he transforms into a 3/3 with Intimidate, so just getting this guy out is really helpful. Basically, they can't block him if they don't have a forest, if they're not running any artifacts or any green cards, which mostly don't. When Avacyn Restored, it's much more green cards will be used, I feel. Next, I only have 3 of these. I'm only using 3 of them. The Current Outlaws. It's a 3-drop for a 2/2 and transforms into a 3/3, which is Terror of Current Pass, which is double strike 3/3, and each werewolf that you control has to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. So basically, if you got this out on turn 3, which I usually do if I get a really good hand, they only have about 1 to 2 monsters, in which case basically they can't block any of my creatures. So if I have this and Mayor Avbrook out, or this and Merciless Predator, they're getting hit for 9 damage that turn. Another staple of the deck, I feel, well, staple for this deck, is Daybreak Ranger. I have 2 shiny ones. What Daybreak Ranger basically does is when you tap her, she deals 2 damage to flying creatures. It's really good for taking out like Infect Flying, because there's nothing really in this deck besides the instants that I'm using to take out flyers. And she transforms into Nightfall Predator, which is a 4/4 tap mountain, basically forces this to attack anything, so it doesn't matter if it has flying. This is going to battle something. 4/4 plus with all the other pluses they get it from all my other werewolf cards. It's just a really awesome card. Next, 4 Instigator Gangs. They're right here. Gives +1/+1 to any of my monsters that attacks. Really good card for basically just attacking him with everything. You don't necessarily even have to transform Instigator Gang to get hit to just completely destroy them, but you would want. But in certain situations, you would want to transform them into Wild Woodpack. Now, Wild Woodpack does it. It has trample. It's a 5/5. It's a really good card, but it has a better version of basically what its human side is. It gives 3/3. It gives 3 to anything that attacks, which is amazing if you can get this out with Reckless Wave. Even if you don't essentially, because you're gonna have werewolf cards out next turn, like as you're summoning them. But this with any werewolf card is basically amazing. Last werewolf, really, the Scorned Villager. This is one of my personal preferences for cards to put in. Without the dual lands, I would with the dual lands, I would definitely replace these. But without them, it's really just good to have the extra mana on the field. And when it transforms into Moonscarred Werewolf, has Vigilance. It's a 2/2, and it adds 2 mana. So it's basically double the effective Scorned Villager, plus it has Vigilance, so it does not tap. Which is amazingly good, because you can still block with this thing even though you tapped it for mana. Or I don't know if the Vigilance doesn't work for abilities, I don't think, but still, I mean, it's a really great card for that. These aren't exactly werewolves, but they definitely help out. 3 Immerwolves. Immerwolf's really a fun card because basically Immerwolf has Intimidate. It gets all the pluses from my other werewolf cards. It gives +1/+1 to all other wolves and werewolves, and plus that non-human werewolves you control can't transform. So basically, with this card out, none of my werewolves can transform back into humans, which is amazingly well. I mean, if I had 3 Huntsmen of the Fells, they would replace these, but for now, I feel like this card works really well in the deck. Now I'm going to move on to enchantments. I only have 1 enchantment, but it's 4 copies of that 1 enchantment. Full Moon's Rise. Yep. 4 Full Moon's Rises. Basically what it does is all your werewolves and wolves get +1/+0, which is kind of good. If you have more than one of these out, it's amazing, but because it's a 2-drop. But what's really good about this card is that when you sacrifice it, you can regenerate all your werewolves. So essentially, if they just attacked with all their creatures and you blocked with all your werewolves with this card out, sacrifice it, all your werewolves come back. It's really good when you're using cards like Instigator Gang, because if you have more than one of these out, you're still going to get the +1/+1, and if all your cards get destroyed again, sacrifice it, bring them all back. Another main staple for the deck, which really pisses people off, which is basically the oh shit card of the deck, is the Moon Mist. Moon Mist is a extremely good card for this deck. It's a common card. It's a 2-drop. Yep, it's a 2-drop. Basically, instant. Prevent all combat damage that was done to you this turn, other than by werewolves. And then transform all humans. So basically, if you attack me, and I don't even have to block that turn, because attacking me is considered combat damage, I throw down a Moon Mist. Now you have tapped and attacked me with all your creatures, and I have all my werewolves staring at you. For burn spells, this is the only burn spell that I have, and I'm running 4 of them, is just 4 Incinerates. Incinerate is really good just for, in general, flying creatures. Just all in general burn spell. Just a 2-drop for 3 damage to anything. It's really good. But But yeah, I use 4 of them. Plus, they can't be regenerated, which is really good for zombie decks that really like to regenerate their shit. And like I said, I don't have the dual lands. Otherwise, I'd be running Rootbound Crags and Copperline Gorges, 4 of each, of course. But I don't have them, so I'm hoping to get them soon. I don't even know why, but just Forest Mountain. So yeah, I hope you guys like the deck profile. That's the deck that I will be running today in the tournament. I'm not necessarily planning on winning. I know this deck isn't like one of the top tier decks, but I never really like playing the top tier decks just because everyone is. And I still believe that even in Magic that not all the top tier decks can win tournaments. Like, there is some flaws in the deck. Of course, there's flaws in every deck, but I just like building decks that are really cool to me, not really that expensive, and yet are really awesome at the same time. So, yeah, that's the deck profile. I will be doing my deck profile for my own deck. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. If you like the video, if you like the deck, leave comments down below if you have any suggestions of how I should tweak the deck in any way possible. Anything helps. Yeah, so thanks, guys. Bye.